I had the chance to playtest set 17, and in this video I'll try my best to showcase what it has to offer and help you decide if it's worth playing or not. But before we get started, here is my first impression of the new leduck merch. Wow, this is amazing! Did you know working out with set makes you bigger? Why does this duck look like it could really need some help to protect its shenanigans? If you like what you see and want to support the channel, check out the link in the description or in the pinned comment. Thanks for all the support so far. Now let's see what set 17 has in store. The theme for this set is called Space Gods. As the name implies, it's very galaxy themed and you will encounter Darkstar, mechas, Space Groove and an entire trait dedicated to meeps. The set mechanic can look quite overwhelming at first glance, but is easy to understand after a few games. First of all, the starting encounters and carousels are gone. If you hated the 3 emblem start, you can rejoice, it won't ruin your games anymore. At the start of the game, 2 different gods will appear that give out different rewards over the course of the game. In this example, the gods are Varus and Evelyn. In stage 2-4, every player makes their first selection. You can choose to align with Varus, who grants you a 3 cost and a 2 cost that share a trait together with a tier as your item component. Evelyn, on the other hand, offers you 8 gold and a giant's belt. Choosing Evelyn is a bit risky, since you also lose player health if more players align with her. In stage 3-4, the choice is between a small duplicator and a cloak versus a 3-star 1-cost champion, a bow, and losing 3 health. The final choice is made in stage 4-4. You can either take a 5-cost and a 4-cost that share a trait together with a cloak, or you get a random 2-star T4 champion with a bow and lose 3 health. In some games, you will make the choice based on the effect, and in other games, you will make your choice based on the item component to make sure you complete a core item for your comp. However, there's one more aspect to consider. The game tracks your choices and gives you a final reward based on the god you aligned with the most. For example, after the stage 3 carousel, I've already sided with Varus twice. Even if I choose Evelyn in stage 4, it doesn't matter because 2 out of 3 choices were made in favor of Varus. The consequence of this choice can be seen in stage 4-7. Here you get a treasure armory where you can roll to finalize your item build, but you're always guaranteed a specific 4th augment based on the god you've aligned with. The Varus blessing grants my team 18 health for each total star level in my army, and my 5-cost odds are increased by 2%. While there are a lot of different choices for the different gods in stage 2, 3 and 4, the blessings in stage 4-7 are always the same. There are a total of 9 space gods, which means there are 9 different blessings that can appear as the 4th augment throughout the set. Overall, I would say I like the set mechanic, especially because there are a lot of meaningful choices to be made. Sometimes you end up with a quest that grants you a better reward, and other times you just want to roll the dice and align with Thresh, who randomizes your rewards. Next, let's talk about the more interesting traits the set has to offer. The gacha trait for set 17 is called Anima and is very reminiscent of Chem Barons in set 13. You collect points based on your lose streak, and every time you reach 100 points, you can choose to take the cash out or gather another 100 points for a better reward. Similar to Chem Barons, you mainly receive very powerful items to overwhelm your opponents after getting a big cash out. It's a tried and tested system, plus the items are inspired by the Swarm game mode, so I'm definitely looking forward to playing this trait a lot more in the future. Meeple is definitely a trait worth highlighting because it's literally based around meeps. Not only is this trait incredibly fun to watch, if you have 7 meeple on your board, your bench receives a special hex that can clone your units. It works like Wei from set 11, so you can either use it to finish your 3 stars or wait multiple rounds to print a higher tier unit. Will you be able to print anvils or a second gold neck again? I haven't tested it yet, but I certainly hope so. Stargazer is also a very crazy trait because it has 7 different constellations that are wildly different from each other. Just to make an example, in your first game you might get the Boar. This grants your team bonus stats and gold for winning fights, so you want to max out the trait early to boost your economy. In the next game you might end up with the Medallion. Now the trait caps out at 3. In this constellation, you units standing on specific hexes get damage amp, which is heavily amplified for every 3-star unit on your board. This is a great way to enable tier 1 reroll, where you collect the early game stargazers and other early game units like Caitlyn or Aatrox. Mecha is also a very satisfying trait to watch. This trait has Urgot, Aurelion and the Mighty Mech. You can change the form of each mecha to upgrade or change their ability, give them bonus stats and cause them to take up 2 unit slots instead of 1. I have to say, transforming Urgot into a siege tank or Aurelion into a flying spaceship was definitely one of my favorite moments in the playtest. The final trait I want to highlight is called Arbiter. It is a new version of Admin from set 8. Activating the trait lets you choose a rule set that only applies for you. For example, in this game, my Arbiters receive a 10% health shield at combat start for each interest I would gain. If I have 50 gold, that means a 50% max health shield at the start of combat. But enough about traits. What does the set have to offer in terms of units? For starters, Bard is back and he's hilarious. He spawns a flying saucer that deals damage over time and is able to kidnap the unit and print a 1-star copy on your bench. Not only are the visuals of this ability top tier, Riot gave him something even crazier. You might remember that in the past, for a brief period of time, you were able to pilfer the Elder Dragon and play him on your board. Thanks to Bard, this is now an intended mechanic. You can kidnap the Elder Dragon and play him as one of your units. One of my favorite legendaries in the playtest was Sona. She gives out special modules you can place on your units that expire after 2 rounds. This can range from giving your tanks a big shield at the start of combat to your carry attacking multiple times. Someone I definitely didn't expect to make a return was Zed from set 2. Yes, you heard me right. One of the most infamous units in the history of TFT is back. You can only get him with a stage 3 augment that unlocks him in stage 4, where he can appear as a legendary unit in your shop. He is capable of cloning himself, and the clones can do the same to potentially fill up the entire board. Obviously, he's much more balanced than before, but I'm definitely excited to see what kind of combos he might unlock in the future. The final legendary unit I want to talk about is Jhin. Over the course of TFT, we've seen a lot of different versions of Jhin, so it's honestly quite impressive how Riot still manages to keep him fresh. Set 17 Jhin will spawn 4 portals with amazing visuals that attack enemy units alongside Jhin. On the 4th shot, the bullets are piercing through the units, making for a very satisfying finish. I would not be surprised if Jhin ends up being the most played legendary in set 17. I also want to highlight some non-legendaries like Riven and Misfortune. Riven is a tier 4 unit with a very interesting gimmick that changes her entire damage to either physical or magical, depending on which of her stats is higher. Her ability stays the same, so she makes for a great addition to a lot of comps because she can effectively perform with every item in the game. Misfortune is a powerful tier 3 unit that can change her trait. If you place her on the board, you can choose between Channeler, Challenger and Replicator. As a Channeler, she gets a tiny bullet time that hits 2 different units for a lot of damage. As a Replicator, her ability is a lot more hit or miss, but it's definitely better at sniping the enemy backlines with a long cone-like ability. If you enjoyed the flexibility that set 16 had to offer, you don't have to worry about losing this playstyle. Most of the traits are designed to be splashable, and there are plenty of units like Graves, Morgana and Vex that are traitless and fit into any comp with the right items. For the final part of this video, I want to briefly talk about artifacts. In set 16, I was devastated how artifacts were gutted and changed into boring stat sticks. It got to the point where I didn't even take Portable Forge anymore because there were simply no combos to play around. Thankfully, set 17 looks a lot better in this regard with the addition of Divine artifacts. Now don't worry, this doesn't mean Radiant artifacts. It's more similar to Darken artifacts, where you can get them with the help of a specific augment, or you get lucky with Portable Forge. In total, there are 9 new artifacts, each based on one of the space gods, and what I really appreciate is that these divine artifacts are a lot more about meaningful effects and a lot less about granting a ton of stats. For example, Yasuo's Bladework only gives 1080 AP and attack speed, but grants bonus attacks every 3 seconds. This can help to make units like Caitlyn more viable, because while she hits hard, she has a horrendous base attack speed. The Thresh Lantern is also a very interesting artifact. After 6 seconds in combat have passed, one random unit from your bench gets pulled into the fight. At least during the playtest, it didn't feel like the new artifacts were overtaking the game, but they felt interesting enough that I'm quite motivated to work on the new artifact video for set 17. To summarize set 17, I feel like both the unit and trait design are absolute top tier, and getting rid of the starting encounters makes the game way more enjoyable. The Space Gods choices are also a lot more interesting than carousels. The only aspect that did bother me a bit was that spatulas, and especially frying pans, felt incredibly rare. Obviously, there are still ways to get random emblems, and you can still reach a prismatic trait with something like Trait Tree into Pandora, but unless you have a game with a specific space god like Echo, you should probably never make a plan based around a specific emblem. I definitely had a lot of fun during the playtest, and I can't wait to play more. If you want to try set 17 yourself, it will be available on the PBE server on March 31st and goes live on the 15th of April. I hope you learned something, and see you next time.